So hey everyone, it's Emma back to the Marketing Success Summit, and welcome again, ladies and gents. And today I am delighted to introduce you to Holly G. Holly Gillen, thank you so much for joining us from the States. You're most welcome, and thank you again for being a speaker tonight.
Of course, thank you so much for having me. This is an honor.
Yeah, thank you. It's great. And I mean, it's great to have somebody with your background, with your expertise. And Holly's going to be talking to us obviously about video marketing and indeed about Facebook Live or Live and how we can leverage this. And I think it's interesting because Holly was equally speaking on the first summit back in July, which really is only a couple of months ago. And really since then, you know, Periscope, well, I know Periscope is there for a while, but Facebook Live has taken off. And I think, you know, Holly has some great tips for us in terms of how to leverage the ideas from video and how to best use them in a live situation as well. So Holly, what I'm going to do is pass it over to you and let you explain a little bit about your background, because you can do a much better job than me.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. So I'm just going to do a little quick screen share with you guys. I've got some slides ready to go. Okay. So first, Holly G, your go-to video gal. And what I do is I empower online entrepreneurs to go from confused to confident and from fearful to fearless on both sides of the camera. And I do this by teaching you the skills that you need to create not just video, but what I call business cinema. And business cinema is the way that I describe the next level video. So that's video with a plan, a purpose, a system, and a strategy. Not just creating video for the sake of creating video, but actually creating video that actually helps move your business forward and serves your audience and all of your business goals. So my background is in video production. I've been in video production since 2008, and I've worked as a professional videographer, producer, and editor in New York City. And I've had the opportunity to work on some truly amazing projects with some truly amazing people. Sony Music, Nick.com, the Sundance Channel. I've worked with Forrest Whitaker and Bono and Big Time Rush, and have had an amazing time doing this. And I've taken those skills and the training that I've received and transferred that into courses and programs and services to teach people how to create their own business cinema. So with video production, there is one part that is the most important part of any video production that almost everyone gets wrong. Any guesses as to what it is? I can't hear you, but you can totally just shout them out right now. I would love to see them in the comments maybe, but just shout them out if you have any guesses as to what you think is the thing.
I'm not going to guess. I'm awful at guessing. So everything, even my daughter is 7 and she asked me to guess, and I'm pretty cool.
That's funny. So basically it's pre-production. So within the production process, there's 3 phases of the production process. There's pre-production, production, and post-production. And it's all about the pre-production. 60 to 65% of the production process is, the majority is spent kind of planning and in before you ever even hit record on your camera. Most of the time should be spent planning. So if you're not doing it this way, you're doing it wrong. I want to just kind of break down a little bit about what is involved in each of the different phases of production. So with pre-production, you have all the things that you need to do before you hit record and go into the production process. But this is the most important step. It is the foundation. It's the base upon which everything else that you do is going to be standing on. So without a strong foundation, guess what happens to the rest of the stuff? It just kind of falls apart. Production is all about equipment and recording and creating that content that you planned to create during the pre-production phase. Then you get to post-production, which is the final phase, and this is all about editing, adding music and graphics, and really adding in that professional touch that will make your videos stand out. And when you spend a majority of your time in pre-production, the production and post-production processes are really easy to do. Most people, though, this is what their production process looks like. There's a ton of time, or excuse me, very little time spent in the pre-production phase, then a ton of time spent during production, kind of maybe figuring out what you want to talk about and doing take after take. Oh, take 10. Oh, take 20. Oh, take 30. All right. And then I'll just flesh all that stuff out in post-production. I'll just figure out where the one good take was in that 5-minute clip that only 30 seconds I need. This is a horrible, horrible way to create videos. So this is what it should look like. Pre-production is majority of the process. Then you have some time spent in production and some time spent in post-production. So in the pre-production phase, you're doing your planning, you're organizing your thoughts, you're doing your research, and you're understanding why you're actually creating the video to begin with. When you do it this way, it literally makes filming a breeze. It's like putting together a puzzle because you've already planned out how you want your video to look. You know who your video is for, you know all the things that you need to know. So when you film it, it's literally like, hey, I'm filming the video. Boom, bang, bam. Then when you bring it to post-production and you edit the video, it's like, okay, I need to put piece A in piece A slot and piece B in piece B slot. And it makes it super easy. The way that I describe business cinema, and I'm going to use a house here as an analogy. So business cinema is made up of a couple of different things. You have the foundation, which is your floor, the base, and that is your why filter and your video goals. So understanding why you're creating the content and what video goals you're looking to achieve with the content that you're creating, right? Then you have your who. So this is the walls. Who are you creating your video for? And I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into each one of these things in just a second. Your what. So what is the content? How are you actually creating this content? And then the roof, which is your master plan. This is where your business cinema lives. It lives in this house. I apologize if you can hear that squeaky sound. That is my dog. I put him downstairs and he snuck back in here.
That's okay.
Thank you, little puppy. So why filter your video goals? So why are you actually creating this video? What are your overall video goals, and does this video help you get closer to those goals? You always want to begin with the end in mind. So having an understanding of what you want to create, the video goal, the content of the goal for the content that you're creating, and then reverse engineering that. So creating the video to fill in the why. Then you have your who. So this is your audience. You have to know who's going to be watching your video. So who are you creating this content for? So that you can specifically create content that is going to be watched by that audience, be loved by that audience, and make sense for that audience that you're creating it for. So you need to know your audience, right? So make sure you understand who that audience is. And this is especially if you are working with different ideal customer avatars. So I know that I have a couple of different levels of clients that I create content for. So maybe somebody who has never been in front of the camera before is going to be a different type of audience than someone who's already created a bunch of videos and is maybe looking for that next level of polish of production. Two completely different audiences, excuse me, and I would create two different types of content for those audiences. Next is the what. So what is the concept of your video? What will you be making your video about? What are the burning questions that your audience has? So this is like the content, like what are you going to talk about in your video? What are the pain points that you can solve? Next is, now that you know your who, your what, how are you going to actually make it happen? So how are you going to create the video? You want to think about the logistics. Do you have the equipment that you need? What's your skill level? What resources do you have available to you? Is there stuff that you can borrow or rent, or other things that you can have lying around your house that will add to your level of production? And then you have to consider your budget. Do you have a budget? Can you hire somebody to help you? Can you hire, a video consultant like me to come in and help you take things to the next level by helping you add in graphics to your video or teach you about lighting or that sort of stuff? And then the other thing to take into consideration is, what's your time frame? Do you need these videos yesterday, or do you have a few months to really kind of plan out the content and reverse engineer some bigger vision goals for your business? All of these things together lead up to the master plan. So your why filter, your video goals, your who, your what, your how. This is all your video house, right? So that was pre-production like a pro. How do you create your business cinema house? And now I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how to Facebook Live like a pro. So I'm going to talk to you about why live video works and how to actually do it the right way. So I'm not going to bang you guys over the head with boring stats, but I've pulled a couple of interesting stats that I think that you should know. So 80%. Video streaming will grow to more than 80% of all consumer internet traffic by 2020. That's huge, huge. People are watching live video 3 times longer compared to video that's no longer live, right? So people are watching it more. So it's growing and people are watching it more. And here's another question for you guys. I know I can't hear you, but can anyone tell me the number one difference between live and pre-recorded video? Emma, do you want to guess?
With my bad guesses. Well, I guess live, you literally have to just go with it, don't you? Whereas with pre-recorded, you can chop and change and take things out, do outtakes and all the rest of it. Whereas, I think I see clients having difficulty with this in that I think I've been used to doing live workshops. So I think if you're used to doing something like that, you're okay with it.
Yeah.
Whereas, so I'm used to questions on the fly. Whereas I think a lot of people just find that difficult, and equally the idea you're on camera. So where do you stand? Where, the audio, like there's so many different questions. So I think people get very put off by it.
Totally. And it can be super scary knowing that you can't do a take 2.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, take 2. What did I just say? Oh, there was something in my teeth the whole time. I guess I can't undo that. But in my opinion, the number one difference between live and pre-recorded video is that live video is a conversation. You can start a conversation and people are 10 times more likely, people comment 10 times more on Facebook Live than they do on regular video. Yeah. Whereas pre-production, yes, it's, you have more time to spend to produce it, to re-record parts if you want, to add in things that you want to put in post. Or with the live, you can have a conversation. It's about coming to the video live and talking to your audience, asking for feedback, asking for questions, polling, having that conversation and listening when people talk back to you. So in my opinion, that's the number one difference. It's the ability to have that conversation. I'm going to talk to you guys about the couple of different levels of broadcasting that you can do. So you can do a basic broadcast, which is you're using your phone and one of the Facebook apps. The next level to the basic broadcast would be adding in mic or other accessories that you use on your mobile device, right? So maybe like a lens attachment or a mic, attaching a lavalier mic so that your audio is a little bit better. So stuff like that. And obviously, you want something that's stable so you don't make people seasick. So using like a mobile device tripod to keep your phone stable. Then you have the pro broadcast, which is you're using your computer and you're using a program like OBS or Wirecast to add in graphics and lower thirds and other professional touches that you can't do with just your mobile device in the app, right? Then there's an even higher level to this. This is the super pro broadcast, which is using your computer, a switcher, lots of cables, and professional camera or multiple cameras. We're not really going to get into that, but I just wanted you guys to know that there is an additional level to the pro broadcast. It's the super pro. So 10 reasons why you should use live video. First, it helps your audience get to know you better. So you have an opportunity for your audience to see you in a way that maybe they haven't seen you before, which gives them a chance to really get to know you better. When you're doing live video, it really is, you can practice and you can plan, but it is you in real time. So it helps your audience get to know who you are on a different level, not as produced, more real, more raw, right? Next, it leads to higher engagement. As I've already discussed in the stats that I shared, people will comment 10 times more on a live broadcast than they would on a finished live broadcast or a pre-recorded broadcast, right? And it also helps you generate ideas. So having that conversation, getting that feedback from your audience, that will help you generate ideas and give you a sense of what are the questions that people have. You can make assumptions and think, oh, well, I know this, so everybody else should know this too. Well, when you get to having those conversations, you learn that maybe, hey, everybody doesn't understand that aspect of what you're talking about. Maybe you can come back with a different live broadcast where you break that down even further and explain, right? So it helps you kind of generate ideas in that sense. My production dog is so fired.
The great sound effects, maybe you should sell that, you could record
no.
Extra.
Yes, how do you disrupt your broadcast? Here, take this audio soundtrack of my dog whimpering. So more content to repurpose. So you can take that live broadcast and you can repurpose it in a bazillion different ways. So you can take it and you can just scrape the audio out and turn it into a podcast. You can take it and transcribe it and turn it into a blog post. The sky's the limit here. There's a million different, you can cut it up and upload it to YouTube. So a bunch of different ways you can repurpose that. So you're really kind of saving time there. So live video is a priority on Facebook. Facebook right now is all about video and specifically about live videos. So they're favoriting it. So you should kind of use that to your advantage. The other thing is it increases your reach. So when you're broadcasting live and you ask people to share it, it may be being shared with people that you didn't necessarily have access to prior to it being shared with them. So it increases your ability to reach a wider audience. It's new and exciting. It's new and exciting. That's one of the main reasons to use something. It's new and exciting. I love using new and exciting things in my business. It helps keep me kind of fired up. And I love, seeing things as they come up on the horizon and testing them out. So that's number 7, why you should use live video. Immediate feedback. Like I was saying, that it's a conversation when you're asked questions and speaking to your audience, you can get immediate feedback. Like, hey guys, I was thinking about doing this as part of my next launch. How do you guys feel about that? Ask questions, get immediate feedback. It is live, it is real time. And it helps you build and maintain relationships. So it helps you build relationships with new people by giving them access to you via live and having that conversation. And it helps maintain relationships or existing relationships that you already have, giving people an opportunity to hang out with you in a different way. So creating that stronger connection in those relationships. And last but not least, it's in the moment. There's real time. It's real time. So there is a sense of urgency. When so-and-so goes live, I want to make sure I'm there live so I can hang out with them and I can have a conversation with them. So there is a sense of urgency because, the FOMO is real. Next, I want to talk about best practices. So knowledge is power and power is confidence. When I was talking to my audience about Facebook Live and why or why not they are using it or aren't using it, the theme that kept coming up was confidence. So how do I have the confidence to go live when I haven't done it, I don't know how to do it, it's scary. So knowledge is power and power is knowledge. So by arming yourself with this knowledge, it's going to allow you to get the confidence that you need to go live. I have to put him out. I'm sorry.
That's
this
okay.
is so distracting. I apologize. So maybe you can edit that out. Okay, so here are some of the best practices. 1, build anticipation. So tell your audience when you're going live. Share it on other social platforms. Email your list. Say, hey guys, I'm going to be going live at 2 p.m., blah, 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 standard time. Come on over and hang out with me. Ask me questions. I'm hosting live Q&A, so let's do this. Next, schedule your live broadcast. You can schedule it or the scheduling feature is not available for everybody just yet. but it will be available. They're rolling it out. I actually just got access to it the other day. Super cool. I was so excited about that. So if you don't have it now, you will eventually get it.
So what can you do, Holly? Sorry, you can schedule your
yes, you can schedule live broadcasts so people can RSVP to them.
Excellent. Is that kind of like a Facebook event then, is it?
It's different than a Facebook event. It's you literally schedule your live event, and what happens is a post will appear on your page, and it will let people RSVP. And then before you go live, there is a notification that gets sent out to all of the people who RSVP'd.
Oh, excellent. That's really cool.
Yeah, I was like blown away when I was like, I didn't think I was going to have access to it for quite some time because it is something, it's a new feature that's being rolled out.
Excellent.
So you can also create an event. So you create an event and you can just invite people to the event, letting them know that you're going to go live, right? So have a plan. Have an idea about what you want to talk about before you go live. Have some structure. You don't want to just be like, oh, I'm going to go live. Okay, great. Hi. Hi, everyone. I don't know why I'm here.
Well, actually, somebody was saying the other day, actually, and I hadn't really thought about it, but I had seen it, where they were advising people that start talking, like as in whatever your topic is or whatever you're saying. So they were saying where there was a lot of Facebook Lives where they were like, hi, there's nobody on yet. Hi, just waiting for people to come on. And because nobody knew about it, there actually nobody came on. So they were saying, like, which is true, on the replay, which is where you get most of your viewers, is all they were hearing was,
hi, no one's here.
Yeah. Which is right.
No, even if no one shows up, act like somebody's there. Talk like somebody's there, because you have to take into consideration that people are going to be watching the replay, and you don't want them to be like watching you. Exactly that, like watching you like, hey, no one's here. Hey, I'm just going to wait to talk about stuff if I have anything to talk about because nobody's here. Hello. Hey, my mom's not even here.
It's like one of those weird things where somebody filmed you and you just really shouldn't be filmed.
Yeah, so you have to keep that in mind. That's another part of the best practices is whether there's somebody there or not, just go, because the replay will live on. So have some structure. I have a video formula, a live video formula that I use. It gives me structure. It gives me, my points. Like I can talk about this, then this, then this, and I already I have the process. And that's helps me because it's live and spontaneous and people ask questions. I don't want to lose track of what I was talking about. So having my structure, I always have the ability to just get back on point without forgetting what I was talking about or forgetting where I was, because I had a plan. This I say, but I don't want to discourage you from being spontaneous, because part of part of the joy of going live is the spontaneity of it, and anything can happen, and just the fun of that fun aspect. So having a plan doesn't mean it needs to be boring and not spontaneous. Leave room to go off topic for a second, but having the plan and the structure will help you get back to the points you were trying to make, so that your live broadcast doesn't turn into a 2-hour rambling session, because that's not that great either.
No.
Connectivity is important. You want to make sure that you have a good connection before you go live, because you don't want it to be choppy or inconsistent, or you don't want it to keep cutting out, because it's bad business. So make sure you have a good connection before you go live. Next, upgrade your gear. So don't rely on the built-in mic that you have just on your mobile device. Get that smart lav, the Rode Smart Lav, which is this lav right here, which is the lav that I use and love. And it just kind of upgrades the audio. So it's clearer, it's crisper, especially if you're going to be broadcasting from a place that has some background noise and stuff like that. You want to have a lav mic that will be able to capture your audio clearly. Stability is important. You want to make sure the camera is stable. Like this is it's not a good look for the person on the other end. So, being stable, and obviously there are exceptions to this rule depending on what you're broadcasting live. If you are not on yourself, but you're showing like a BMX event, then like doing something like this is probably okay, because you're just following the action around. What I mean by, making sure it's stable is if it's you talking to the camera, you don't want it to be like you're on a roller coaster, because you're just going to make people sick and they're going to tune off. Right? Broadcast length matters. According to Facebook, you should broadcast longer rather than shorter. So at least 10 minutes or more is the rule of thumb that they are suggesting. So this will give your audience enough time to tune in and actually catch you live. So giving people enough time to see the notification, finish up whatever they were doing, and pop on over to check you out. The other thing with your phone, if you're broadcasting from your mobile device, you want to make sure you put on Do Not Disturb. For some reason, when I was researching this specific thing, airplane mode kept coming up. But when I was talking to somebody else about it, they're like, well, if you put airplane mode on it, it shuts off your Wi-Fi. So I just used Do Not Disturb, but I kept seeing airplane mode, so I wanted to include this in the best practices for you guys. But do whichever one works best for you. If you're using your computer, you want to close down any windows or other programs that you have running, just so that it's not sucking away from your computer power. Those are not the right terms. Does it compel? You want to make sure you write a compelling description and include your location, keywords, and tags that are relevant to what you're talking about. So when somebody sees that title, does it make them want to come and watch what you're talking about? So make sure that when you're writing that description or the title of your live broadcast, that it's going to compel somebody to come over and watch. Don't just write, hey, going live 2016, because that tells me nothing about what you're going to talk about, right?
Definitely.
The VIP treatment. Roll the red carpet out for your audience. Are there people there? Those people are spending their time looking at you. So acknowledge that and say hello to them by their name. Welcome people to your broadcast. Who doesn't feel special when they're welcomed to a live broadcast? I don't know many people that would say they don't feel special. So it's another way to also, like I was saying earlier, to build those relationships and to maintain those relationships. So do you see someone who comes on to your live broadcasts all the time? Shout them out and say, hey, thank you for coming back. I really appreciate it, because they could be a million other places, but they are right there hanging out with you. So make sure you acknowledge that and give them the treatment that you would like to have if the situation were reversed. Next, you want to be engaging. So ask questions, poll your audience, respond to comments, and remember that the best part of going live is the ability to have that conversation. If you are new to going live and you're not sure whether there's going to be an actual audience there to watch you, have some questions created, because you already did your research, right? You know what you're going to talk about. You have some structure, you have a plan, right? All those things. So when you're coming up with your plan, write some questions too, so that if there isn't anybody there to ask you the question, you can say, oh, well, a common question that comes up around this is blah, 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 right? Just in case you don't have anybody there to ask you questions. I also wanted to talk about some different ideas that you can broadcast about, because I know this is another stumbling block for people. They're like, yeah, I want to broadcast, but I don't know what to broadcast about. Like, I have no ideas. So here are some different ideas that you can use. Make these your own, or use this as inspiration to come up with something that makes sense for your audience and your brand. So you can host a live Q&A. So you can send an email out to your newsletter and say, hey, listen, I'm going to be on live at whatever time. Come on over and ask me your questions. Shoot me an email. If you're not there, I'll answer your question and you can watch the replay. Right? Make a special announcement. Are you announcing something special in your business? Why not do it on Facebook Live? Respond to breaking news. This could be breaking news in your industry or breaking news in the world, depending on, the way that you position your brand. Is it appropriate for you to respond to breaking news, talk about politics or things like that? Then by all means, go right ahead. But if not, we're breaking news in your industry. You can interview someone, share behind the scenes stuff. So what's going on in real time? You can tour around your office. Are you traveling? Are you speaking? You're at speaking engagements. Show what's happening behind the scenes. People love to see that. Are you attending an industry event? You can share, at the end of the day, a summary of your perspective. There are certain industry events you can't broadcast live, so make sure you have permission to do whatever you're doing. Do your own proper due diligence. But if it isn't okay, you can, at the end of the day, share your summary. Like, this is what I learned from the event. This was my biggest takeaways, XYZ, right? You can give a live demonstration. So whether that's cooking, exercise, or you want to show a physical product, using Facebook Live to do a demonstration. You can share your expertise with a breakdown. Share 3 to 5 points on a specific area of expertise or something that you know is a pain point for your audience. Shout somebody out. You can shine the spotlight on a client or somebody who stands out in your audience. It doesn't always have to be about what you want to share as a business owner or as a brand. You can take that time and talk about your clients and how awesome they're doing. Hot topics. So things that are happening in your industry, things that I guess this is similar to breaking news. And I wrote breaking news again here. So breaking news for real was a hot topic for me that day when I was making this list. You can launch live, or you can create your own weekly or daily series, or I put in quotes, TV show. You can create your own TV show, but it's a Facebook Live. So I'd like to know what your biggest takeaway was from the tips that I shared here with you guys today. So just let me know. Let me just stop my share. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to kind of answer any questions in regard to the content.
Great. That's fantastic. There's some great tips there. Thank you so much, Holly. I really love a couple of things you were saying there. I particularly love the business cinema.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a lovely idea, and I think it kind of elevates the idea of video for business. Because I think sometimes, business owners think video, they think it's kind of like a flippant sort of topic, and they kind of don't give it the importance that it deserves in terms of how it helps to nudge customers in the right direction, how it helps inform them, get people to know, trust and like you, and all the rest of it. So it is business cinema, so to actually give it the weight it deserves, the attention it deserves, in terms of the influence it plays in your business, and how it can help convert people into real sales, how it can convert potential customers into real customers. So I love the concept.
Absolutely. Video does the selling for you when you're, relaxing on the beach or hanging out with your family.
Yeah.
It builds those relationships for you when you don't have the ability to be everywhere 24 hours a day.
Yeah, I love that actually. So I particularly like at the moment the idea of being on a beach, because it's quite windy here today.
Yes, let's go. It's cold. It's getting cold here too.
Yeah. And also the idea that it's bringing it to the next level video. So it's not just a case of, just throwing it up there or anything like that, that you're actually thinking it out, that it's not a case of, we'll do the video, we'll just do it now and, throw it out there and, with no thought in put into it at all. Whereas, obviously you were saying the plan, have a purpose for it, like what's it going to do, what are you doing it for? Absolutely. So it's not like, hey guys, I'm just going to do a video and I won't do the one for 6 months, but I'll do one today. And yeah, it's authentic because I'm just throwing it out there, but I'm not going to think about the plan or the purpose and the strategy. In other words, to back up, okay, well, is it part of an overall strategy? So I love that you're pointing that out. It's
very important. Otherwise, I mean, it's kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. And also actually, that you were serving, because I was taking notes as you were writing, or you were speaking rather, that you're serving your audience, which I think is important too. So it's not just about you kind of deciding to spout off about, I don't know, paint or something random. And it's not actually serving anybody, only you. So it's not, it's not doing much good, or it's not bringing much value to your business. And the other point Holly was making was that, that it does need to tie into your business values and your business objectives, so that there, so it's part of an overall content marketing plan. So for example, I see people, if they've got products, they can do videos of the product, they're showing people how to use it. If you, I don't know, if you're a makeup artist, you show a video maybe of somebody that's done up, or maybe before and after, or like Holly is saying, she had all those fantastic ideas, like you're interviewing somebody, you can do like a semi-documentary, like behind the scenes, as you were saying. I mean, it's amazing. People just absolutely love that stuff. And
So let's say you're launching a product or a service that you know you're going to be launching in 3 months from now. So you can start thinking about reverse engineering the questions or the reasons why people may be interested in purchasing this product and start creating that as your video content. Mm-hmm. Answering those questions, really kind of educating people about why they need that why they need that particular service or offering.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's really great to hear, Holly talking about this and, her background. And the one name that I recognized there was Bon Oak, just because I'm Irish, so I didn't recognize it. But, she's worked with really high level people on production. So she understands what it takes to work behind the camera in order to deliver something that has impact, has legacy. And I think what's great is she's bringing those skills and helping you guys as business owners to have the best, to go about your video marketing in the best way possible. So even your idea there, I loved your graphs with pre-production, production and post-production, and the level of time and effort that needs to go into the pre-production in order to have a quality post-production afterwards.
It's really, if you don't spend the time doing that, you end up, that's what's frustrating for a lot of people, because they end up, spending a lot of time recording the video and being frustrated that it's not coming out the way that they want it to, because they didn't spend the time to kind of plan it out and flesh it out. So that they didn't have an idea visually of what it was going to look like and how they wanted it to sound. And again, all of the things, the touch points. So like reverse engineering and having a call to action and understanding why you're actually creating the content and knowing who you're creating the content for. But when you get to the post-production, it's like, now that's where they're spending all of their time trying to figure out how to kind of pull something out of this project that they just spent way too much time working on, and it just gets annoying and frustrating. And I think that that's a problem for a lot of people, and they think, well, I can't do video because that's what they think the process is like, and that's not what the process is like at all.
Yeah,
it's a huge misconception.
Yeah, it seems to be, and and I love the way you've outlined exactly the points and things you can do to make things better. I also like as well, in terms of beginning with the end in mind. So I love these kind of phrases that Holly has that, you just say it automatically and it comes out so naturally. And yet these are what we should be listening to as business owners, because it's like everything, you don't know what you don't know. And we can often dive into, it could be video, it could be Twitter, it could be any number of platforms, but it's about knowing what is the end in mind, what are you trying to create, and kind of working backwards.
Yeah.
And I think logistically as well, I know a couple of years back I worked, I had a contract in a university, and they put together some videos, promoting the university. And we spent a lot of time working with the crew prior to actually deciding what to do, because we had to decide on locations and who was going to be in them, and the storyline and the storyboard. And even at that, there was things that had to change, because of course it was arguments as to who should do what and where it should be, and the lighting.
Yeah.
The sound, like if it's outside, if it's inside. There was so many different elements that had to be thought about.
So winging it is not an option.
Yeah, basically.
It's just not an option.
Yeah. And I mean, these guys spent $10,000 for 3 days of, which actually would have been quite cheap for what they were doing. And at the time, a couple of years ago, they produced some amazing content, but, they had to think of placards that they wanted to put up, if you want to promote something and somebody has to write it out. So we had to get a print company to do it. So you had to be organized, because actually they tried to do one at first, and the reason they ended up getting in the production company was because they tried to do one, and then they went to the location. The people that were supposed to be there never turned up. They didn't have any of the props. Nothing was ready, and they all got frustrated with each other. They made a video because they're like, well, we're here, we may as well make one, and it was awful. And they got slated by their peers, because they go into a meeting afterwards and they're like, here's the video, and it's like, dear gosh, what were you doing? So hence obviously they spent the money, but it just goes to show the difference between just planning. It wasn't like anybody listening in can sit down and say, okay, I want it to be in the gym, I want it to be in my office, I want it to be outside. If it's outside, the wind is maybe, because I remember once I decided I was going to do one outside, and I forgot to bring my headset, and I mean, the wind was just like pushing my voice away, and I just didn't think of that until I went and did it,
That's the other, like when you go to locations, like the first thing that I would do when I would go into a room that we were planning on shooting in is I would stop and I would stand there and I would listen. What do I hear? Do I hear the air conditioning? Do I hear people talking next door? Do I hear traffic? Do I hear airplanes? Do I hear this? Then I would look around and go, okay, where are all the plugs? Then I would say, where are the windows? What lights do we have in here? What overhead lighting? What light can I bring in so that I can have control over it? You really want to be in control of the most of as many aspects as you can when you're recording. I know that's not always possible, but if you can, be in control of the lighting, be in control of what sounds are happening in the room, be in control of, all of the things.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, funny, last year, my local village, they were doing something to promote themselves and they asked me to help them. And I remember they couldn't find a venue because it rained, of course, as it does in Ireland. And we had to do it in a cafe. And of course, the cafe was extremely loud. And they couldn't understand. I said, we can't do it in the cafe because, the coffee cups were clattering. And,
yep.
The coffee machine was like, and, when I walked in, and I mean, I would be there quite frequently, but it was magnified. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do the video here because, and
so loud, yeah.
They put us in a hallway, and then the irony was there was a door, and behind the door there was a washing machine, and needless to say, somebody had turned on the washing machine, and so there was like high spin going on as I was interviewing somebody, and it was near the toilet, so there was like people, and I was like, this is an absolute disaster. But of course, I was dealing with people that just wanted to get it done, and there was no other venue, and it was just really frustrating where I could hear, even through the door, the washing machine, the clattering of the cups. I just thought to myself, dear heavens, this is going to be dreadful. Now, it was okay, but only okay. And to be honest, they took part in a competition and they didn't win because you couldn't with that, type of thing going on. I mean, honestly. And the thing is, you do hear the washing machine. It was faint and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
The coffee cups was faint, but you definitely heard them. And I think what happens is it distracts from the message that
it absolutely does. The rule of thumb, just FYI for anybody who's watching and listening, if you are in a situation where there's going to be a lot of background noise that you don't have any control over, what you can do is you can include it in the background of the shot, because there's a difference mentally when you can see the noise and hear it a little bit, as opposed to not seeing the noise and it being kind of like a distracting thing.
That's a good thing to do, actually. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. So I should have stood everybody in the cafe, actually, really.
You want to try to control and minimize the amount of background that's going to be happening. That's where, these mics and things like that come in, where you can, you get the higher level of audio quality coming from here, as opposed to just using like the mic on the camera, which is like, hey, I'm getting your audio and everything around in the entire room's audio, as opposed to I'm getting some background noise, but the loudest part is coming from your mouth. Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, look, guys, you want to convey a message. That's the whole point of being on the video in the first place, unless you're doing miming, which I'm assuming that you're not doing that. So yeah. So, and just, you were talking then about live video. And I think, you made a very important distinction there, I think, which I hadn't really thought about myself, but that it's conversation.
Yeah.
Because I do find actually even myself that sometimes I feel on show, when you go on Facebook Live and you feel you have to act like you would nearly on a stage. So it just actually, that makes sense actually to have that conversation where people are more likely to listen to you. So you're not speaking at people, you're speaking to them.
With them. Yes, to them and with them.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's an amazing tool that we all have as business owners and entrepreneurs to be able to instantly pick up a device or use our computer and have instant access to have a conversation with our potential clients and customers who are there through their own volition. Nobody forced them to be there. They're there because they want to be there.
Yeah, that is true, actually. That is true, because they can switch you guys off. But also, I love your idea of repurposing the content. So when you are doing live, you can save it to your phone, you can upload it to YouTube, it can become part of your repertoire. So in particular, if you're planning it, like you do have some structure there, like Holly's suggesting, that it's not a case of, hey guys, I'm in the mall and,
I'm trying shoes on and I need you guys to help me figure out which shoes look better on my feet. Which is great if that's part of your brand persona. Sure. And maybe you thought about it and that's the kind of content that you want to deliver to your audience because it helps them get to know you on a different level.
Yeah. But to be fair,
the key distinction is there needs to be a reason why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, correct.
That's the distinction.
The thing about it is
stuff like that, no big deal, but you should know why you're doing it.
I would imagine bloggers, like fashion bloggers or something like that would be great.
I would love to see stuff like that.
Yeah. But I think for somebody like, say, me, for example, who has a service in like business and it's marketing, it's like, why the heck is she showing me her shoes? You know?
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
It's like, kind of like a disconnect. It's like, what?
Your brand and your image that you are representing online, then, you know, maybe not a good idea.
Yeah,
but it could also be something that's fun and gives people an opportunity to see you in a different light.
Yeah.
I know that I got some really great feedback. I have some friends that are businesses, clients and, associates on my personal Facebook page. And I just recently did a Facebook Live with my husband where we went to IKEA and we were just trying out furniture and we were sitting on furniture and we were just cracking up and just having the best time ever. Not necessarily in alignment with my brand, which is why I shared it on my personal page, but I got so many comments from people who I know through business that were like, oh my God, that was so funny. I was so, I was laughing along with you guys. It was so fun and just kind of upbeat and cheerful, and we loved it.
Yeah.
So
that's the personality side coming out as well. And I think the distinction is there. You shared it on your friend page.
Yes.
So it wasn't. So I think, and you obviously have a fun personality, so I think in part, I think it does bring out kind of your personality, which I think is nice for people to see as well.
Yeah. It's just another layer of getting to know you, like you, and trust you.
Yeah.
And gives people the opportunity to connect with you in a different way.
Yeah,
not just business all the time.
Yeah, which is nice sometimes, definitely. It's actually funny. I did a podcast. Somebody interviewed me there last Friday. And, it's a funny thing. I think it's one of the first times I was much more relaxed than normal. And I just kind of chatted, like you're saying, kind of like a conversation. And a couple of people sent me a message saying it sounded lovely. I sounded so nice. And I kind of thought, gosh, I'm and it makes me kind of think, gosh, am I too preachy? Is it, so again, having that conversation, it does bring back, so these are things we need to be, I suppose, self-aware about, and I did, I don't normally listen back to myself, and I did, and I kind of thought, yeah, it's much more conversation, like, I should do that more often,
Sure. I think it's a great idea to listen back to yourself and or to watch your videos, because it gives you a different perspective and gives you an opportunity to see what you like and what you don't like so that you can make adjustments. But if you don't ever watch or you don't ever listen, then you don't know.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think definitely in terms of being self-aware, because I think all of us as business owners, we're trying to improve all the time. So like that, I'm aware that, okay, I need to improve that bit. I need, that it's kind of like moving forward all the time. So I think, today, Holly, you've shared some really, really terrific tips for people, on video marketing. And I'd like to thank you so very much, because you put a lot of thought and effort into that presentation. And also to thank your dog. What's your dog's name, actually?
I am so sorry. Mr. Buster is so fired. I called him my production pit bull, but he is fired. He's fired.
So you thank Mr. Buster as well.
He did not get the quiet on set memo.
Not to worry. It's kind of what happens, really, isn't it, in life? But also, like, what I'd like to, can you just tell people as well, what you're doing if they want to work with you? How do people contact you, and what's the best way?
Sure. I'm always hanging around on my website, hollygstudios.com. I have a Facebook group, Holly G's VIPs. You can find that at hollygstudios.com/group. And I have an upcoming interactive workshop that I'm hosting all about Facebook Live. So if you're interested in that, there are a few spots left, and that is going to be on November 22nd. You can find that at bit.ly/FB Live like a pro.
I think I'll have to get that off you. My brain is frazzled right now. So I will share it with people, and I'll share it in the group. So Holly G, is it Holly? Sorry, hollygstudios.com?
Correct. hollygstudios.com.
And equally, I'll share the Facebook group, because I know a number of people from the last summit went into your Facebook group and they found it really, really helpful. Because, I mean, it's how I forgot to say at the start, one of the reasons I asked Holly was you were the person that got me started on video. And it's been a slower process, I would have to say, in that, you know, it took me ages to do video. And I did a free challenge that Holly was doing ages ago. It was a Zero to Video Hero.
Zero to Video Hero challenge, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I mean, the thing was, it was even a transition. It was where, you know, and again, maybe there's some tips there for people, is where I had to do a video. I think was it every day for 15 days. And, you know, and it does, and they were all private, bar one, which I inadvertently made public. And actually, funny enough, I'd seen somebody else do it where you had a graduation video, it was the final video, and everyone did these really creative ones. And I saw somebody did one with it was a Golden Globe, or, you know, they were kind of like they were getting an Oscar type thing. What did I have? I think I found something, my daughter's toy or something ridiculous. And I said, oh, look, I've just won, whatever. But I made the darn thing live without meaning to. And I had a couple of funny comments from people who saw it. But I suppose the important point there was, you know, Holly, what she does is she helps give you confidence. She also helped that we did have a strategy, that we thought about what we're going to do, but also that we did it. So in other words, before you're confident about doing it, that you can make them private, so only you see them, but that you're at least practicing. And I did obviously look back at that point and see, okay, well, what's the lighting like? I was doing a lot of them standing up myself at the time, and I ended up, I had to sit down. I was more comfortable doing that. So there, I guess, decisions that, you know, you make as you go through this process.
As you gain experience and you actually go through the motions, which is the reason why I do those challenges, because in theory, you know, you can think whatever you want to think. And in theory is not going to build up your confidence. In theory is not going to show you, hey, I actually do know how to use my camera. This is, you know, this is the room that has the best lighting. This is the best time of day to shoot. I'm much more comfortable when I sit down. I'm much more confident when I stand up.
Yes.
You know, I cannot teach you those things. Those aren't skills I can just impart onto you. That's the work that you need to do.
Yeah.
You know,
and I think that
as somebody who's getting ready to be, you know, on video.
Definitely. But I think, you know, the challenges you do, the courses that Holly does, please reach out to her. She works one-on-one with people as well. And you can see she really does a sterling job. And genuinely, she started me on my journey for video. I'm not a video maestro by any manner of means. However, it did get me in front of the camera, which normally I don't do. It did get me to sit down. It got me to decide, hey, in a workshop, it's great standing up. But for me personally, sitting down was actually, I came across more naturally sitting down. Whereas when I was standing up, I was all stilted and I was like teaching a class, and it was awful, you know, whereas when I sat down, it was like, oh, okay, I'm just more talking to people. So I think there are key things that people, as you say, you have to go through, you know, and the other thing was to speak more slowly. And you had a couple of tips and I, as you can tell, I can speak quite fast at times, and I had to really kind of slow down. But just overall, guys, Holly is great. Please reach out to her. I will share the Facebook group, hollygstudios.com. And, you know, she does courses all the time. She's on Facebook Live all the time. And equally, you've got your Facebook group, which I'll share as well.
Thank you.
Not at all. And again, thank you so much, because I know with all the speakers, like, you're all so good, you know, sharing of your valuable time. So I hope people appreciate the time that you're putting into this for the presentation and delivering such awesome content.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you asking me to come back.
Not at all. Not at all. It's great to have you. So listen, we'll sign off, Holly. And again, thank you so much.